Hey everybody, this is Ori from AstroWeb, and I'm going to introduce the Magento 2 Commerce RMA feature, which is exclusive for Commerce. So let's talk a little bit about RMAs. So RMAs are return management, right? So that means for Magento-wise, if a customer has made an order and shipped a product, the customer can ask to return that product for a replacement, a refund, for store credit. They will actually have to request it and then ship that product back. That product will get verified, authorized, or declined. And then, depending on what the client requested, we can either issue a refund or a return, exchange, etc. So that's kind of the concept of it. So again, it applies only to orders of customers, and the orders must have been shipped because they have to be returned, right? It's a return management. So they have to be returned. So if an order is not in a status that has not been shipped, right? For example, it just got made but hasn't been shipped, you cannot issue or request a return. So that's kind of the idea. So let's walk through some of the concepts and some of the settings and explain a little bit. Okay, so the first part is a return can be managed or, excuse me, requested either by a customer or by the business itself. So a customer would either go to their backend. So for example, I made an account here on our test site. I have made some sample orders. I logged in and I went to my orders. And under my orders, I went to the recent order to view it, and I click here on return. When I click here on return, I would actually select as a customer which products do I want to return. This order, for example, I ordered 2 products. I would like this one. I would like to return, for example, 1 quantity. And then I need to fill up some of the information. So my resolution, for example, the reason I want to return, and the condition. So these fields are controlled, and we can add some more things. They're controlled via the backend, which we'll show you later. So I fill those out as a customer, I submit, and then the system in the backend will actually have in the backend the administrator, the business, the customer service, whoever's logging into the backend can go here to sales returns and view that, right? So obviously I haven't submitted, but I have some samples here. The second way that you can, so again, a customer can either open a return request, or the business can open a return request. So the business can click here, go select the specific order that's relevant to that customer, for example, this one, and then do the same thing as what we showed a customer doing, but doing it in the back end, right? So I can have some comments here. These are internal comments unless you check this. And then items to return, I would click here and add products. I would see all of the products in that customer's order. So for example, they only want to return this one. I would click here, select, fill up again the reasons, the item conditions, the resolutions, etc., and then submit the return for the first part. So just to recap that first part, so either a customer can open a return via logging in, going to my orders, and then viewing that order and clicking on return, or guests can actually also use the look at my orders. So if you're a guest checkout, you don't have an account, you can use my orders and you can request a return from there. Or the business can actually get a phone call or an email and then open a refund, a return request, excuse me. So let's open one and let's see how it works, okay? So let's go here. I am going to go to my orders. I'm going to mimic as a customer, but it really doesn't matter. Okay, view order, and I'm going to click on return, and I'm going to say, okay, I just want to return it to this email, excuse me, this email. And I want to return only the green one and only 1 quantity because, and I want a refund, and the condition was unopened, for example, and the reason was, I don't know, other, and I don't know, you sent me the wrong one, but now I don't care, okay? Something like that. Okay, now if you have multiple items, you can click here and add to return multiple items if they have, you know, different reasons or different, etc. And then I submit it. Okay, so please help ASAP. Okay, this is a comment from a customer. I clicked on submit. Okay, great. Now, RMAs also have flows. So RMAs really have 4 flows. You know, opening of a request return, and then a request authorized, and then a request returned. So product was returned or excuse me, before authorize, let's continue from, let's start from the beginning. So RMA opened, requested, then you have either declined or authorized, right? So the business has to check if it's even legit. Maybe they wanted to return something 5 years after they purchase. We won't accept that, right? Then we would ask if we authorize and approve them, they can ship it back, the product. We would receive the product back and review it. If it's okay, then we'd authorize. If it's not okay, we'd decline it. So it's really 4 kind of main steps, okay? So I made it, here's my return, right? So now if I go to sales and returns as the business, I would go here, I can see the status is pending, which means I just opened, or the customer just opened a return request, and I can see all the detail that it's relevant to this order, this customer, this is their email, etc. This is their shipping information, and some comments. These are the status. So this is pretty familiar to regular orders, at least as far as the layout goes. So what I'm mostly interested here is in the return items tab. So the customer requested this SKU to return 1, right? Okay, and they have a reason here, and this is all the information they filled out. So it's unopened, and they wanted a refund, and it's still in the pending status. So now I'd have to review, for example, does it fit within the business policies? So did they make the order, for example, within 30 days? Are they trying to return it? So let's assume that this is correct and it applies within business requirements. So what I'm going to do is say, okay, in this case, this SKU, yes, you can return it. Why? Because it was unopened, it's less than 30 days, right? So I can see that detail from the order, etc. And I'm going to say, okay, you wanted to return 1 quantity of this. I authorize 1, right? Obviously, if you have multiple quantities, it would be different. And I'm going to change the status to authorized, or of course denied, right? I'm going to do that, and I'm going to click on save and continue. Okay, now that I do that, right, so customers are getting emails, right? So for example, their customer is going to get an email like this, for example, right? A detail of their order. You can see more information here. This is the return number, and they would see some statuses, right? If I would have a status, which I just said, which is authorized, they would have an authorized, a pending, a declined, etc. Okay, this is an example, a sample template from the basic Magento. So now, if a customer goes here, you see this order return status was pending before, and now it's authorized. Great. So now I'm getting updates. It's moving forward. So now, if I go here, the customer now needs to actually ship back the product. So let's say a few days pass by, they ship the product, we receive them in our warehouse. Now I need to specify, okay, it was returned, okay? And I would go here to status, and I would say, okay, it was returned, and I'm going to save it, okay? Now, once it was returned, someone received it, now we need to check if the box is really unopened and it's in correct, wasn't switched, or everything looks good. So we would go here and either obviously decline or reject or other, but let's say we approved it. So I would approve it, I'd click here, approved, and I would save. And once we do that, now the RMA is finished, right? So we finished the RMA. Now, depending on what the RMA the customer asks for, so for example, refund, now I'd actually have to go to the actual order. I'd go here to the order, and I would go and credit memo it, or whatever, whatever else you need to do, right? So credit memo, and create a credit memo, etc., and then give their money back, okay? So this is kind of the concept. So I want to show you a few other sample things and kind of go through it. So a few things. So let's open another one. Let's go here. A few other kind of tips that could be helpful. So let's go to another RMA that I opened before. I want to show you a few small things that are helpful. So first of all is sometimes you might have someone requesting return of a specific SKU but multiple quantity. Here they only requested 1, but let's say they have multiple quantity and you, for example, only want to authorize 1 out of them, right? So maybe they want to return 2 of these, but you only want to authorize 1, and 1 you want to, decline it, right? So what you can do is you can use the split button right here to kind of separate your information here, and you can kind of add and change and just play with it. So sometimes you want to split that, right? The other thing that it could be helpful is the details tab. So I want to talk about it a little bit later in the settings, but in general, the system RMA from Magento comes with these default things. So a return reason, an item condition, and resolution. But sometimes you want to add more. You want to, when a customer fills out a return, you want to ask for more information. So the detail will give some additional information which you later on set up, which I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so this is kind of the concept. So this is a basic flow of Magento of RMAs. Customer or the business opens it, we verify it, we checked it, we received the return to the warehouse, we verified that the box is okay, we either approved it or declined, and we always change statuses every time. So that's kind of the idea. So let's look at a few settings that you can do. So first of all, what you can do here under stores is you can customize the attributes that are right here, right? These lines, so return reason, item condition, etc. So let's look at that. Excuse me, this one. So here, by default, you have the return reason and the resolution and item condition, and a new one which I added, which is called real reason. So if you edit these, for example, resolution, because this is a drop-down menu and you see the item type here, the input type, you can specify the specific ones. You can sort them, you can have a default one, and you can add more, just like you do for regular product attributes, right? So for example, I want to add a new one. I might say, and again, this is resolution. So instead of exchange, I would say, I don't know, buy me a beer, right? Or something like that, right? So you'd select those and you'd save it. Now, these things you'd have to, once you save, you have to refresh the cache in order for them to apply, but just FYI. Okay, so let's go back here and let's try to add one more right now. Okay, so let's say I want to add a new attribute. I want to show you a few things, and the new one would be called comments. Let's just say I want to receive comments from the client about not just what do they want to return, but also like some additional information. So I'm going to use a attribute code. This is used for the system. So it should be lowercase and no spaces or special characters, right? And here I can have a text field which allows the customer to input type stuff. We can have a text area which is a lot more typing, okay? And we can allow this field to be required when they open a RMA, default value, a minimum text, a maximum text, and filters, right? Do I want to remove any HTML tags or things like that, right? Do I want to allow this only in the backend when the business opens an RMA, or also the customer can see this, right? Default sort order, if I have multiple multiple attributes, and any kind of labels, right? If I have many different store views. Okay, cool. So this is number one, setting up new attributes for the RMA. Don't forget, again, if you set up new ones or you change anything, refresh the cache. Okay, great. The last thing is some of the other configurations. Okay, so store configuration, you want to go to sales. Okay, so sales and sales. And on the bottom, you should have RMA settings, which this one will allow customers, if it's set to yes, enable RMA in storefront, customers will be able to open RMAs. If it's no, only the business can open RMAs from Magento backend. RMA and product level, can you return everything or a specific product? And do I want to have the customer return to the same address as the business address, or returns might be set up to a different business address? That's basically the idea. So please play with it. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm very happy to answer more specific details, give flows. Any questions, let me know. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much.